Welcome to Parenting in a Snap. Today we're going to talk about drop-off, school, daycare drop-off, since it's that time of year. Drop-off time can be a rough time for everybody involved from time to time. I know I've been that parent who's had that little guy with his arms wrapped around me like an octopus, and I know that it's difficult. So hopefully here are some things that you can use to maybe make drop-off a little easier. So for one thing, pre-teaching is great. So what that means is that you're preparing the child for what's going to happen. So I would talk maybe even the night before at bedtime as we're getting ready for bed, and certainly then again in the morning over breakfast or something like that. Exactly what's going to happen, a play-by-play. Okay, we're going to get in the car, we're going to get in your car seat and buckle up, and we're going to drive to Miss Judy's, and then we're going to get out of the car and we're going to hold hands and ring the doorbell, and you get the idea, play by play. Followed up with, and then you're going to have a whole lot of fun, and you're going to have nap and snack, and then I'm going to pick you up and we're going to hug, just the whole thing, start to finish, so that you get an idea of, this is what's going to happen, and here's what's going to happen at the end is I'm going to pick you up like I always do. Again, being reliable and predictable. I'm going to drop you off and I'm going to pick you up like I always do. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to set yourself up for success, and part of that involves not rushing around too much in the morning. I know that sometimes the mornings can be hectic just anyway, but really, even if you can start 15 minutes earlier if you need to, because when you're rushing out the door and when you're kind of barking orders and that sort of thing, and I understand how hectic it can be, but when you're doing that stuff, it really kind of sets up a tense tone for the day, and we want your child to be as relaxed as they possibly can going into the school or the daycare setting to kind of set up for success. Pack backpacks and lunches and things like that the night before, pick out clothes the night before, that sort of thing, as much as you possibly can. Tip number three is get your teacher or your daycare provider on board with you in this plan, meaning that once you've done your lovely pre-teaching and you've gotten up to the door and then we start to get tense and anxious and tear up a little bit, that your care provider or your teacher has a plan in place to offer a distraction or engage in an activity or have a little peer or a little friend kind of shepherd your child on in or something like that. So engage that teacher or that caregiver in that as a part of your plan, as part of your team, and that will help. And then the last tip, which is perhaps the most difficult, I think, is don't linger, because the longer you linger, the worse it gets, because the more worked up we get. And so validate the feeling. I understand that you're feeling pretty sad now, but you're going to feel better really, really soon, and I'm going to pick you up like I always do, and we're going to hug each other at the end of the day. The more you try to kind of negotiate that drop off, and the more you kind of let them cling, the harder it is. And as difficult as it is to have someone sort of remove your child from you, sometimes that's the best thing, because I will tell you 90+% of the time, that teacher or that care provider will let you know at the end of the day that, oh, you know what, they were fine after about 90 seconds. They started coloring and everything was fine. So get your Kleenex ready on the drive to work if you're feeling kind of bad about that, but know that they're going to be fine and that you've done the right thing in the way that you handled the drop-off. So I hope these ideas help, and good luck and happy drop-off.